Their last game, a loss against Phoenix, these were the back-to-back plays she was involved in on the offensive end. Created a lot of conversation over the past week. Clark would continue playing the rest of the second quarter and then would leave the middle of the third quarter with a...
Picture this name in women's basketball right now. Someone who can drop a no-look assist and bury a shot from 30 feet away. Suddenly hobbling off the hardwood, grabbing her side face twisted in pain. And here's the part that should worry you. This hasn't happened once this year. It's happened 4 separate times. Every single time the Indiana Fever brushed it off as nothing serious, just soreness, they said, just day-to-day. But now her own doctor has stepped in and what he's saying could flip this whole story upside down. Quick favor before we dive in. If you're enjoying this breakdown, drop a like and hit subscribe. Most people watching haven't hit that button yet, and it genuinely helps this channel grow. Costs nothing, takes 2 seconds. Alright, appreciate you. Now, let's get back into it because this isn't really about one player's bad luck. This is about a cover-up, a silence that's getting louder, and a leak that might be one bad decision away from losing its biggest asset. Let's rewind to how obvious this pattern actually was. Long before things got serious, people watching the Fever-Sun matchup already had a bad feeling in their gut. There it was again. A hard screen, an awkward landing, and that same limp walking back down the floor. Nobody realized just how deep this injury trail actually went. This wasn't a simple groin tweak. This marked the 4th lower body injury in a span of just 2 months. Left thigh, left groin, then the right groin. Same story, just switching sides each time. Sports doctors have a name for this exact pattern. A chain reaction injury where one weak spot forces the body to compensate. And that compensation creates a brand new injury somewhere else. It's basically injury whack-a-mole. And ignoring it only makes the mole bigger. Yet through all of it, the team kept repeating the same line. She's fine, just a little tight. That's the quiet lie franchises love to tell because keeping things vague keeps things in-house. Now, here's where things get uncomfortable. Multiple orthopedic doctors, speaking anonymously, are saying this is nowhere near a daily issue. At minimum, we're talking about a recovery window measured in weeks, not days, and only if she actually gets real rest and rehab. Instead, she's been jumping on flights across the country, logging over 30 minutes a game, and showing up for league sponsorship events. All while the organization profiting off her name does very little to protect the body actually generating that profit. Fans have started calling it exactly what it looks like, exploitation. So, how did the body get to this breaking point? Here's what's reportedly happening under the surface. Heading into this season, she apparently packed on noticeable muscle, likely trying to get ready for the more physical grown-up pace of the pro game. Problem is, adding size without proper training adjustment doesn't just make you stronger. It also throws off your natural movement patterns. Her shot mechanics shifted slightly. Her stride changed in subtle ways. Add in the brutal WNBA calendar, back-to-back games, relentless defensive pressure, barely any recovery time, and you get a body that's been pushed past its breaking point, forced to compensate for every injury until it finally gives out completely. That collapse became impossible to ignore during the game against Connecticut. It wasn't just that she got up slowly. It was everything about how she reacted. The wincing, the attempt to just shake it off and keep running. The moment she doubled over, hands braced on her knees. But the tears, that's what really told the story. This is someone who's normally ice cold on the court. And there she was crying on the bench. That wasn't just physical pain talking. That was exhaustion, fear, and pure emotional burnout bubbling over. And still the official word from the league, minor discomfort. Now, imagine if a franchise superstar in the men's league did that during his first year. Would anyone dare call it minor? Exactly. This is where trust in the organization completely cracked. Sources close to her camp are now confirming what fans had already suspected. She's no longer relying solely on the Fever's medical staff. She's bringing in outside help. We're talking biomechanics experts, regenerative medicine specialists, the kind of people usually reserved for top-tier male athletes. Because at this point, that trust has been broken. And honestly, can you blame her? When your own organization treats a snowballing injury crisis like it's just a bruise, your focus shifts from winning games to simply protecting your future. This was never about missing a few matchups. It's about protecting an entire career. So, what happens next? Reports suggest her medical team is exploring some seriously advanced recovery methods to get her stabilized. That includes biomechanical retraining to fix the imbalances that started this whole chain reaction, regenerative treatments to speed up healing in the damaged tissue, and hyperbaric oxygen therapy to bring down inflammation and boost circulation. This isn't just about getting back on the floor. It's about resetting the entire body before things spiral further. Meanwhile, the Fever organization hasn't said a word about any of this. They are still handing fans the same vague day-to-day script, but people are catching on. Fans aren't clueless. They are watching closely. Every limp, every every disappearance from the bench during timeouts gets noticed, and people are getting angry about it. Hashtags are trending. Concerns are being raised quietly by her own family. Other players around the league are starting to speak up about how stars are or aren't being protected. Zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about one player. This reflects a bigger shift happening across professional sports where top athletes are done just trusting team doctors blindly. They are taking ownership of their own health, hiring their own specialists, and speaking out when something feels wrong. At the end of the day, this isn't about loyalty to a jersey. It's about survival in the workplace. She didn't claw her way to the top just to watch it crumble because someone else didn't take her pain seriously. Taking back control might end up being the smartest move of her entire career. And here's what this means for the league itself. This is a make-or-break act moment. If they want their brighter star to keep filling arenas, driving TV deals, and selling out merchandise, they need to finally do the one thing they failed at so far. Actually, keep her safe. That means cracking down harder on dangerous plays, better travel scheduling, real transparency around medical updates, and yes, sometimes stepping in when a team clearly mishandles an injury. Because if a league can't prove it protects its biggest names, those names won't stick around forever. Here's the encouraging part, though. This isn't over for her. Not even close. Now that she knows exactly who's actually in her corner, this whole ordeal might end up being one of the best things to happen to her long term. She'll rest, she'll heal properly, and she'll come back stronger. Not because someone told her she was fine, but because she chose to heal the right way this time. Here's the bigger truth in all of this. She isn't just fighting defenders on the court anymore. She's fighting an entire system. One that's quick to cash in, but slow to adapt. One that ignores warning signs until it's too late. But she's done playing along quietly. Without team doctors calling every shot and with a completely new approach to her own health, she's choosing a path that doesn't wait for permission. One that refuses to accept day-to-day when the truth is far more serious. And it just might set a new standard for how female athletes take control of their own careers. There's an old saying, pain fades, pride lasts forever. But pride isn't healing her groin. Motivational quotes don't fix a broken support system. From the very start of her rookie year, this injury cycle has been spinning like a rigged carnival ride, and no amount of inspiration is going to slow it down. What we're watching isn't just physical breakdown. It's a cultural one. She's become a lightning rod, not just for opposing defenses, but for every outdated system and shortcut her franchise and league have tried to get away with. And she's officially done waiting around. Here's what most people missed. She's been limping through practices, wincing during simple drills, sitting out entire scrimmages behind vague pre-game labels. She's going through the motions, sure, but anyone paying real attention can see she's nowhere near fully healthy. When the team says she's improving, what they really mean is she can jog without falling over. That's not progress, that's desperation. And jogging is basically a death sentence for her game because her whole style depends on speed, sharp cuts, and split-second decisions. Let's be real, most athletes play through pain. That's part of the job. But knowing when to actually stop is what separates the smart ones from cautionary tales. Too often, she said yes when she should have said no. Yes to playing through the first injury. Yes to 0 rest days between games. Yes to painful appearances and promotional obligations. She gave the league everything it asked for and more. What she needed in return was time and a smarter medical plan. Instead, she's paying the price quietly. One of the strangest parts of this whole situation is how few veteran players have publicly stood up for her. Where's the collective support from women who've spent years grinding in this league with none of the spotlight? There's a real tension between newer stars who arrived with instant fame and endorsement deals and veterans who built their careers without any of that recognition. That gap is real, and it's part of why this situation feels so isolating for her. Truth is, she's not just a player anymore. She's a business. Her jersey sells out. Her highlights dominate every sports feed. She moves tickets and drives entire broadcast deals. So, when the face of your franchise says something's wrong, it stops being treated like a medical issue and starts being treated like a marketing crisis. If your star isn't on the floor, how do you sell the product? That pressure trickles down to trainers, coaches, and PR teams suddenly spinning injury updates like political statements. Instead of a clear recovery timeline, fans get vague reassurance. Instead of real rest, she gets managed minutes. And here's the tricky part. Some fans are starting to lose patience. She entered the league with more goodwill than most athletes get in an entire decade. But the constant injuries paired with murky updates have people questioning things. Is she being cuddled? Why does everything seem to follow her around? That confusion exists because transparency broke down. And when that happens, people start writing their own version of the story. In reality, she isn't fragile. She's exhausted. She's not avoiding games. She's being rushed back into them before she's ready for the franchise. This was supposed to be their turning point season. New attention, sold-out crowds, finally climbing out of the standings. Instead, they built everything on top of her instead of around her without the veteran leadership or backup plan needed to actually protect their franchise player. Now, they are facing a real decision. Keep repeating the vague day-to-day routine, or finally commit to real long-term player wellness. So far, they've chosen silence, and silence rarely wins championships. If she wants to control her own future, the path forward looks pretty clear. Shut it down completely and heal all the way. No rushed half-speed comebacks. Take control of her own narrative through her own platform instead of league-approved talking points. Push hard for full control over her own medical care and recovery team. And yes, quietly start considering her future beyond her current team because rookie deals don't last forever. And plenty of other franchises would build an entire roster around her in a heartbeat. This is where the league needs to step up, too. Because if this situation spirals due to mismanagement, that's not just one team's problem. That's a league-wide crisis. Stronger player protection rules, tighter medical oversight, and genuine support instead of just using her image for promotion. That's the bare minimum required here. She never asked to be the one saving her league. Her talent simply made her the face of hope and progress in women's basketball. But right now, she's becoming something else entirely. A warning, a reminder that even the most gifted athletes can burn out when the people around them forget there's a real human body behind every highlight and jersey sale. This isn't just a comeback story anymore. It's a wake-up call because right now she's not just playing for a team. She's playing for every young athlete watching, hoping to reach the top without being broken on the way there. The reaction from your peers should be respect. Maybe not friendship, but basic professional respect. Instead, we've watched pettiness, cheap shots, and a league office too nervous about backlash to actually stand up for her. And through all of this, the silence from the people who should be defending her the loudest has been deafening.